The air in the NPB negotiation rooms is thick with deception and high-stakes strategy, but no recent move has generated the sheer, confused whiplash of the Yokohama DeNA BayStars decision regarding their human compensation pick for Masayuki Kuwahara. We expected an explosive arm, maybe a generational infield talent, but instead, the BayStars' choice sent shockwaves across the league, leaving both fan bases paralyzed in confusion. The selection was Yuichi Furiichi, a catcher, a position DeNA is supposedly stacked at, and this seemingly nonsensical move is either a sign of genius or the ultimate tactical blunder, marking a psychological turning point in the silent war between front offices. Welcome to 600 Quick News, where we dive deep into the strategic mess and brilliant maneuvers of Japanese professional baseball, analyzing whether this HPS selection signals DeNA's deep-seated anxiety about their defensive spine, or if they were simply cornered by the Lions' cunning protection strategy. The facts themselves are almost pedestrian, which only heightens the surrounding drama. DeNA announced on the 8th that they were acquiring Furiichi, a former Independent League standout who rose quickly through the SABE organization, appearing in 45 total games, managing an intriguing 8 hits and 18 at-bats during his limited 2023 action, culminating in a career .216 batting average and 1 stolen base. But let's cut through the official press release fluff. The immediate visceral reaction online, from Saitama and Yokohama alike, was utter disbelief. They have Yamamoto, they have Matsuo, Toba is still there. Why in God's name do they need another catcher? That was the question echoing everywhere. Yet the BayStars leadership, under manager Aikawa, stood firm, presenting a narrative of calculated necessity. Aikawa himself stated, "Regarding his defense, his ability is incredibly high. We expect him to immediately compete for a spot on the first squad, injecting new life into our catching core alongside Yamamoto and Matsuo." Furthermore, team director Kimura emphasized the goal of balance. Our catching depth is built on hitting. Bringing in a defense-first catcher provides a better balance. He possesses the minimum required batting power for the first team and has the potential to break into the main roster in a few years. This official stance, however, immediately faced fierce counterargumentation. "We heard the whispers. DeNA desperately needs reliable middle relief. They just lost Kuwahara, an outfielder, yet they prioritize a backup catcher? This is insane." Many were convinced this was a failure to protect a quality young pitcher. Let's introduce our fictional analyst, veteran scout and strategic advisor, Kenjiro the Architect Tanaka, who offers a chilling perspective. The BayStars didn't take Furiichi because he was the player they wanted most. They took Furiichi because he was the most strategically valuable player Seibu was forced to expose, Tanaka argues. Seibu knew DeNA's pitching woes were public knowledge. If DeNA had targeted a low to mid-tier pitching prospect, say a 23-year-old reliever who posted a 3.50 ERA in the minors, Seibu would have suffered a true strategic loss. Instead, Seibu played the game perfectly. They locked down their primary pitching assets and forced DeNA into a choice between a fringe outfielder, a 30-something infielder, or Furiichi, the highest ceiling talent left available, even if he played a redundant position. The genius of Seibu's protection list, often dubbed the Seibu Shield, lies in its ruthlessness. Based on internal intelligence, Seibu chose to sacrifice marginal depth players while protecting their core youth with near-impenetrable rigidity. Take, for example, the widely rumored exposure of veteran infielder Takeya Kuriyama's replacement, a young prospect who was ultimately not exposed. If DeNA had gone for an outfielder, that move would have been easily replaceable for Seibu. By choosing Furiichi, DeNA forced Seibu to lose a player who had genuinely broken through the farm system, a player with significant upside that Kimura correctly identified. This is the ultimate chess match. DeNA, cornered, chose to inflict the maximum possible psychological and future developmental damage on Seibu, even if it didn't fill their immediate roster needs. The numbers bear this calculated damage out. While Furiichi's career numbers are modest, digging into his minor league metrics reveals the appeal. In 2023, Fuderici led the Lions farm system catchers with a .998 fielding percentage, handling an astonishing 85% of attempted base stealers successfully, a metric far superior to even DeNA's touted prospect, Matsuo, who struggles with base runners. DeNA isn't just seeking depth, they are seeking a different type of catcher, a true defensive anchor. If Toba begins to decline, and let's be frank, his age profile demands that possibility, Fuderici serves as the perfect low-cost, high-floor insurance policy, immediately ready to handle DeNA's notoriously tricky rotation, which includes several high-velocity pitchers requiring precise receiving skills. The climax of this drama, however, isn't the decision itself, but the human cost. Fuderici, in his own words, admitted, "Honestly, the reality hasn't sunk in yet. I feel like I need to build everything from scratch again, starting with the pitchers I've worked with and the trust we've established. This emotional vulnerability is crucial. He is a pawn who suddenly has the potential to become a queen. The expectation now is immense. He's going from a crowded backup role to potentially fighting for a starting job against players who are hitting for power, like Yamamoto, who hit 15 home runs last season." Fuderichi's mission is clear, to prove that defense wins games, and that he is more than just compensation. He is the essential defensive spine DeNA believes they are missing. The ultimate plot twist is this. Seibu thought they were only giving up a piece of future depth. DeNA may have just acquired the long-term successor to their defense-first catching role, forcing a dramatic and immediate shift in their internal lineup dynamics. Fuderichi's arrival forces everyone on the DeNA roster to reevaluate their roles, proving that sometimes the most confusing move is the most profound strategic statement. So, the BayStars were indeed playing a dangerous, brilliant game of forced optimization. They couldn't get the ace pitcher they craved because Seibu's defense was impenetrable, but they refused to settle for a marginal bench warmer. They chose the highest ceiling asset that Seibu was willing to part with, effectively shouting, "If we can't take your best pitcher, we will take the player who most disrupts your internal future plans, regardless of our current roster needs." It's a calculated risk, betting on Fuderichi's defensive prowess and his internal motivation to prove his value to two confused fan bases. Will this bet pay off, or will Fuderichi get lost in the shuffle of DeNA's already stacked catching core? That is the million-dollar question, and we want to know what you think. Hit that like button if you appreciate this deep dive, share this video with fellow baseball fanatics, and subscribe to 600 Quick News for more elite NPB analysis. Most importantly, drop a comment below. Do you believe Seibu genuinely outmaneuvered DeNA by protecting their pitching? Or was Fuderichi truly the BayStars' secret target all along? Let the debate begin.